Hey guys, it's Mike at Untitled Customs. Today, I'm at OldSkool Sheet Metal Repair, and I have a great podcast for you that is going to start here in just a minute, and then we're going to start. We'll flip around and get you some videos of the cars that are in the back. This is the first time we've done this with the podcast, so bear with us. Thanks much. See you. Episode 10 of the Narcoleptic Customs podcast. Today we're going to visit with Mr. Jarrod Bowen, owner of OldSkool Sheet Metal Repair here in Bentonville, Arkansas. Super cool dude, super cool projects. But before we get into that, just want to take a moment and have a moment of silence for our dad. We lost him to cancer Wednesday, February 12th. So obviously he was probably our biggest factor in being car guys for me and Steven. So we'll just have a moment of silence for him, and then we'll get into today's episode. All right, guys, thank you for that. Before we get started, make sure to follow us on all of our social media sites. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and of course YouTube, where we basically document all of our shop work and all of our fun outings. So enough of my blabbing. Let's get into the conversation with Jarrod. Hey guys, all right, so we have a special guest today, Mr. Jarrod Bowen with OSR, OldSkool Sheet Metal Repair. Yep, so if you follow him on Facebook, you'll see a ton of the super cool projects that they've had and accomplished here in the shop. It's really neat. I mean, he's got like 1,800 square feet here at the house. I guess you guys live here, right?
We do.
Yep. So you're like us, but he does way cooler stuff than we do. So we're going to go over a bunch of questions, kind of talk about what got him into this hobby and then what got him into this business. So there's some really cool stuff, some really cool videos and pictures that we'll have over on the YouTube channel. And also, hopefully, you'll take a few seconds, stop this podcast, and jump over on their Facebook and Instagram pages. And it's all under OldSkool Sheet Metal Repair, right?
Correct.
Or I think, no, Instagram is OSSR?
It's OSSMR16.
OSSMR16.
That's right.
Perfect,
Yes.
perfect.
Yeah.
All right, man. You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's get to it. All right. So, tell us, give us kind of a recap of, what's Jarrod at 14 years old? Is he a car guy?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, did you have a project car at 14?
At 14, I was working on my first truck, which was a 79 Chevy K10.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. All right. Short bed, long bed?
Long bed. It was a long bed, four-wheel drive K10. It was my dad's work truck.
Oh, yeah.
He replaced it with a new truck, and
you were coming of age?
I was coming of age, and so we took it and did an engine swap on it. Wasn't a bad body.
Yeah.
Wanted shiny paint, so didn't know anything about what I do now, and so we went and had a Mako Special put on it, and
Gotcha.
new interior, just kind of cleaned it up, and
that's cool.
And got it ready.
Yep. And then you turned 16 and drove the wheels off of it. Probably turned.
We drove.
If you
I
were
drove
like
the
me,
wheels off of it well
15.
16,
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you're 32 now.
Yes.
So you've been driving for a little while. So you've probably put some cars together before you started this business. So your personal cars, what has been like a couple of your favorite builds or cars that you've owned?
Favorite one, I mean, is going to have to be a no-brainer with my 87 3/4 ton that I have. It was family owned.
That's awesome.
It was bought new in 87. I was 5, my oldest boy's age, and my great uncle who bought the truck new would give me, $3 or $4 or $5.
That's awesome.
Clean out the floorboard of the truck.
Yeah.
They retired in 97. It went to a family friend. My dad bought it in the early 2000s back from him. He used it as a work truck for several years and then sold it to me.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
So it's been through many stages.
Right.
Started off when I first got into this business, sweeping floors at a shop in Bentonville, took it apart, kind of did my own thing, and tried to learn the business with doing the body work and some rust repair.
It was a body shop in Bentonville. Okay, cool.
Yep.
So you're in there sweeping floors, and you're like, "Hey, can I take this bed off of this truck?"
Right. Yep. Well, I was sweeping floors of a day and taking my truck apart of a night.
Golly, that's crazy.
So did the body and paint on that truck. It still had the Grandpa's hubcaps on it.
That's cool.
It was all stock, but fresh paint, fresh interior.
Yeah.
Several years goes by, and I ended up putting a 12-valve Cummins in it and a 5-speed, and that's when I lifted it.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So that was kind of stage 2 with the truck, and then several years later, another different engine combination went into it, and transmission, and so it's evolved into something different, but it holds a lot of sentimental value to me.
Oh yeah.
And I've already told the wife and my oldest boy, if he remembers or understands, that it'll be his.
That's cool. That's cool. I'm not going to let my daughters have the old truck. They won't get my old truck. You can have yours.
Right.
Can have yours. But
bury me in it.
Yeah. We'll build them something, but the old truck will be my old truck.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. So, what do you think, or what do you have right now as a current project?
Personally, there's a few, I guess you could say, but what I've actually been able to work on in the last few years has been none of them.
Oh,
we kind of maintain and keep them going. I've drug a couple in, with the hopes and dreams.
Yep.
I guess you could say. Everybody's got ideas, plans, and
it's amazing.
That kind of thing.
Time. Like, when do we need more time in the day?
Time.
Maybe, I don't know.
Time.
And age. You'll find that out later.
Right.
That's awesome.
But I've got a 70 Chevelle. It's an L78 396 4-speed car that I drug in a couple of years ago.
That's awesome.
From a friend. It'll be down the road.
Yeah.
But it's not for sale. We're gonna fix it up one of these days.
That's awesome. So it's funny. That's one of my top all-time cars. And like, what's crazy is I would modify and probably pro tour everything I've ever owned except that car. Mm-hmm. Like, that car would be 15-inch Kragers, big block 4-speed, and I'm a dark blue on that car guy and black interior, and
it's not a numbers. The engine's not a numbers to the car. Everything else is.
That's awesome.
It's too complete. I'm the same way. With today's performance and today's aftermarket stuff, I mean, it's far superior as to what that car came with in 70.
Oh yeah.
But it's too complete. I mean, it'll have to go back to as close to original.
Well, and I think some of that's like, you appreciate, because I mean, literally, you've built all kinds of super cool stuff in here. So I think what's really neat is, like, from the pictures I've looked at on y'all's Facebook page and stuff, and your Instagram and things like that, like, you guys don't, we kind of get relegated into LS swaps. Like, everybody that's kind of thinking LS swap, they holler at us a lot of times. But, like, you've worked on a little bit of everything. I mean, all of it. Really so I think it's cool, like, on your side, to be able to appreciate that car doesn't need to be done up like some pro touring car or something like that. It doesn't need to be in that mix of stuff, or even like pro street or anything. So that's cool.
I'm not a purist per se, obviously, but
obviously with a Cummins in it.
I can, I had a guy show up yesterday and he saw the truck and he just couldn't believe it. I mean,
that's awesome.
He didn't like it.
What?
He didn't like it. To each their own. Beauty is in the eyes of the beholder.
Yep. That's awesome.
So I'm not a purist per se, but I think some of them need to be left alone.
Yeah.
I mean, you can call it the day 2 modifications, do some things or whatever.
Yep.
Like, I'll probably lower the car a little and put a more of a modern wheel on it.
Yep.
But then after that,
awesome.
It'll be big block 4-speed, non-air, triple black, hot as can be.
God, you're nuts. Yes. But I mean, realistically, how many times a year will that car get driven? Just say 10. I mean, you can suffer through it if you're going to do it 10 times. If you're going to drive it 10 times a year,
right?
For any distance. I mean, you may take it to more shows than that, but like, realistically, like, going to take it from here to Tulsa. I mean, it's not going to get driven that often, especially with the whole family. The boys, maybe. Wife, mine, she won't ride in the old truck very long unless it's a cool day.
Yeah. My wife's a trooper. She can deal with it for a little bit.
Yep.
For a little bit she can, but
That's awesome.
as far as road tripping,
Yeah.
not.
She's like, I'd really like to have AC. You can trailer the car, but
Right,
Yep.
right,
Yep.
absolutely.
That's what Melissa tells me all the time.
Absolutely.
So, the question a while ago kind of answered my next one, which was like, what was your first car and kind of what your first modifications? But it sounds like it was the truck and paint work and then lift and come and swap. So,
Yeah.
that's funny. All right, so if you were thinking back, what would be like? I mean, is there a point in your life where you're like, okay, this is what made me a car guy? You just always were, kind of like me.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, I can go back and watch home videos from the time that I was 1 year old.
That's awesome.
I was
Hot
I
Wheels
was pushing
running around.
Hot Wheels.
Yep.
And
That's cool.
I've been told, like my parents, they watch my boys. I got a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, and they're the exact same way.
That's awesome. It's
it
in
is.
your genes.
It is.
That's cool.
It really is.
Now, is your dad a car guy? Like he's
For the most, I mean, somewhat. He's more of an outdoorsman.
Gotcha.
Type.
Cool.
He's built a few engines in his
Yeah.
day, and he had a few hot rods in his day. He still likes them.
Yep.
He don't like to work on them anymore.
I can appreciate that.
Yeah, he don't necessarily like to work on them anymore. So
That's got to be where my dad was getting. He enjoyed. He said when he ever bought a car, and he always had something fun. It always had to have two of the three things. It either had to run good and have an interior so he could paint it, or it had to have good paint and run good so he could just do an interior.
Right.
And then if it needed an engine, it had to have the other two. So
Right.
like he's like, man, you don't ever start out needing all three. And of course the old truck needs all three. So
Right.
it needs it all. So
no, he don't even like to work on them anymore.
yeah, I don't blame him.
So
he's earned that.
He's more for reliability.
Yep.
anymore.
Yep. So LS swaps and fuel injection
yeah.
and easy stuff.
Almost too modern.
Yep.
No,
I can appreciate that.
His go-to truck is a 1982 Chevy Love. With
What?
With a 4-cylinder diesel and
That's
5-speed.
oh my! Talk about reliability.
48 miles a gallon and never works on it.
That's awesome.
Never. Beat to a pulp.
Yep.
Not a
That
straight
truck
panel
just does what it
but
needs to.
Cannot kill it.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's awesome. So I guess you kind of also answered another question. Will your boys be car guys? I mean, obviously they are.
Yep.
And you answered about the wife. I wouldn't consider my wife a car person. She'll put up with my hobby
Right.
and support it, but I'm not saying she's definitely a car girl. So,
Right.
But if we had a lifted truck, she's more of lifted stuff. I like lowered and regular cab short bed. She's more long bed, 4-door lifted stuff. So
Okay. Yeah. My wife. She has a style.
yeah.
She has a style. She probably doesn't necessarily know one from the other.
Right.
I think Cash here can spot a Mustang and call it out before she ever could. But she doesn't. She has a style. She's more of a 4-wheel drive lifted type style.
If I don't stop it sometimes, that was a good spot.
Okay.
All right. So let's flip it a little bit here and talk let's talk business, I guess, which is really business.
Right.
So how'd you guys come up with Old School Sheet Metal Repair? Like how did the name come about?
I was mowing the yard and honestly just trying to, like, I'm not good at that kind of thing. I'm just
Right.
not. I don't name my trucks. I know.
You'll
right?
grow out of that.
Right. Right. I never have. And so that was a hard decision for me. And so, mowing the yard, I'm thinking about it, and I wanted the name, obviously, who doesn't want a cool business name?
Right.
I guess not necessarily calling mine cool, just
No, it is.
Who doesn't like a cool business name?
Yep.
But I wanted it to basically try to say what we did.
Yeah.
Instead
That
of
makes sense.
like somebody hearing the business name and be like, well, what do they do?
Yep.
Or what is that? Or how does that
Yeah.
relate to what do they do? And so I kind of picked Old School because I've been accused of being old school, and we do pretty much everything that we've got here is eligible for antique tags.
That's
so
awesome.
It's all old school stuff, old school cool, I guess you could say. Sheet metal repair, we're a body shop.
Yeah.
We panel replacements,
right.
Fabbing, body and paint.
It makes sense to me. And the other side of that too is like it's a cool enough name. Like people would want to wear that shirt. People would want to wear that hat. I mean, heck, that's where we really met. I bought one of the hats at the Heroes and Hot Rod show. You know what I mean? And really part of it was because I knew the work you guys did and stuff like that. And I feel like I would wear it, And then the other side of that too is like, it's a cool name, a cool logo, and all that kind of stuff. So that's a big plus.
I appreciate it.
Yep.
It was a stressful time trying to come up with some of that stuff.
Yeah. Well, and I hate to say it down this road, but like if it came to it and it got to where you're like, hey, I want to sell it, it's way easier to sell than Narcoleptic Customs. You know what I mean? Because like that's our name. You know what I mean? So like that's where a name like that becomes easier if you ever got to that point. You know what I mean? Not that obviously it does not sound like in our talk show that is any idea what you want to do, but it does make it easier than it being your last name body shop or whatever, because there's a lot of that. So it kind of squirrels you into that hole,
Right.
So that's a big plus. And with a name like that, and of course the logo, people will want to wear it, and it can just be just a shirt to somebody buying that, and a hat and all that kind of stuff. So that's pretty cool. So did you start this part-time, or were you like, hey, I'm quitting my job tomorrow, we're going to do this on our own?
It eventually came to that. It did.
It always does.
Right.
Hopefully anyways.
Right. I did, so I've always kind of done a little bit of it, part-time or on the side, evenings, after work, weekends. I knew eventually, I wanted to, but there was that question as to when and how.
And how, yeah. How do you decide to not get a regular paycheck from somebody and make it yourself? You know? And obviously, we would always like to think we make more money doing it ourselves because we're making 100. Yeah, but that ain't how it is. We all know that.
It's not all vacations and fat checks.
That's right. So, what was that conversation like? Were you spending 20, 25, 30 hours a week on paying customers stuff, and you're like, I'm gonna make this transition and see if it'll work? Because you got 2 little kids.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And the one at the time, Henry, the youngest one, he was a newborn.
Dang, that's awesome.
He was born in August, and the start was December.
Dang. So he was baby.
And at the time that he was born, I knew it was going to be soon, but I still didn't know exactly that how and when. That's awesome. And at that time, I didn't have. So when I quit my day job, I had one job. I had one truck. It was going to be pretty much a full restoration.
Wow.
And it was a 79 F350.
Oh, okay. Yep. The silver one, flatbed?
Yep, the silver flatbed.
Now, hang on. Did you build that flatbed?
I did.
Damn, dude, that's awesome.
I appreciate it.
You got to look at these pictures. It's awesome.
We took the original footnote on it, I guess. We took the original box bed. It was a mulch bed.
Yep.
And it's a dump bed, and he wanted to keep the dump functionality of it.
Okay.
Not that he was necessarily going to use it,
yep.
but he wanted to keep it there because his dad bought that truck brand new
that's cool.
for the business.
That's
so
cool.
It was one owner truck. And so, I cut the bed down, and that's what we came up with.
That's awesome.
On that one. And so we had that truck. Me and him had discussed that project on. Well, it was Halloween.
Yeah.
Halloween. So late October, we discussed that truck, and it just kind of hit me.
Yep.
It just kind of hit me.
It's time.
I was, not that I hated my job. I was in the collision world.
Yep.
Here in Northwest Arkansas, and not that I hated my job. I liked where I was working at. I liked the guys that I worked with. It was building.
Yep.
And so, birds moving in.
Yep.
It was building, and I had the booth at that time when it wasn't up,
Right.
and I knew I had to have that for the business. I knew I couldn't do what I was doing without it.
Yeah.
And so that process, that ball was rolling with it, and I just called my wife one day and said, you know what, now's the time.
Yeah, you're like, hey, I've got this full price. I mean, like, because let's take and this is a little bit of a detour, but how long do you think it would have taken you to finish that truck part time compared to what it took? Because like now it's your full time job and you can, you know.
That's kind of what I weighed. When we talked about that truck, when I went and looked at it, we talked about it. I still hadn't made the decision to come here and do this full time. Like I said, I had a pretty good idea, but that how and when still hadn't been answered. It would have probably taken me, it's at least a year and a half.
Man, that's crazy,
2 years,
right?
Maybe. I mean, it turned into a big job.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew it was a big job when it started, but as with any restoration, something like that, something that's been painted 3 or 4 times, you don't know what you're getting into until you get into it.
That's nuts.
So you have to. I mean, you can make the best calls or try to.
So then, how long did it take you once you're on it full time?
It took. So I spent the month of December finishing the shop and getting the booth up and that kind of thing. January 5th is whenever I pulled that truck in and started the tear down on it.
Yep.
We got it done the end of April.
Man, that's awesome. And it's a super nice truck. And from the pictures I saw, it didn't look like it was that. It looked like it was a solid truck, but it wasn't very nice when you started. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like, okay, cool, sand it back down and paint it.
Right.
You know, I mean,
we had to blast it because it had been painted so many times. There were some questionable spots on it as far as the rust goes. In the end, I ended up finding a very solid AC cab and cut it apart. To save that cab because that was the original.
Yeah.
I pulled the roof skin off of it. So the roof skin, the headers on front and back, above the back glass and above the windshield.
That's crazy.
Both drip rails, the rear cab panel, the entire floor pan.
Man, people in their sentimentality.
Right.
That's awesome. So, the other side of that too is the customer, right? Mm-hmm. So, in looking at it, you're like, hey man, look, it's probably going to take, like if you're talking in November to him, it may take me a year and a half. And he's like, dang, okay, I want you to do the work. So put it on the books. And then you're like, hey, I'm going to do this full time and I'm going to use your truck as the first one. Mm-hmm. And he's like, yes, let's go, And so he goes from having to wait a year and a half to waiting 3.5, 4 months. So I mean that's really awesome, and that's what we struggle with all the time. Just like I was saying earlier, off the mics, there was that's what I want to be able to do. But dang, I've had this Jeep for 4 months, just swapping an engine over for a guy. So that's probably the biggest cool part of your story. There is that you took it from a guy that was not expecting it, and I mean. Were they still using that truck, or was it just there?
That truck had been. They started that business in '77. They bought that truck in '79. It was their first new company truck.
That's cool.
It was decommissioned in the early 2000s, and then brought out and put back to work. I think in about 05 or 06 for a summer.
Yep.
Because they needed it.
Yep.
And then after that, it got parked.
Golly. So it was not like in work duty mode when you got it.
Yeah,
it was oh hey, yeah.
Right.
Oh, that truck, yeah. It hadn't ran in 2 years, but come on.
It was in the.
Or really, I guess you said 05, 06 hadn't ran in 15 years.
Yeah, it was the beginning of 18, I guess.
Yeah.
Whenever we started that one.
That's nuts. All right. So we talked about part-time and how that affects work-home life balance. That's always fun. Yeah. Yep. And so I can't imagine you're an 8 to 5 guy at all. I mean, we're out here, it's 6:03 now.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I would imagine you're counting your clock here saying, man, this guy's kept me an hour later. Yeah, right.
No, it's not me counting. It's probably my wife.
Yeah, a little bit. So what do you have working? What's going on in the shop? Nobody can see because I didn't bring my SD card, but there's a 59?
It's a 57 GMC, and so it's an original truck. It's also a family owned. So this guy that owns the truck currently, his uncle bought it new for his aunt.
Oh, dang, that's cool.
It was his first truck then he gave it to Eric, the owner now, whenever Eric turned 16.
Oh, so is this Eric Holland's truck?
That is Eric Holland's
Oh,
truck.
that's cool. So there's pictures of you guys. Is this the one you guys were going to like LMC or something to get parts?
Yes.
That's cool,
Yes.
man.
LMC has played a big part on this truck because it is the Heroes and Hot Rods foundation kind of themed. It's Eric's truck, but with him being a veteran and him doing as much as he is for the veterans, he wanted to try to pay homage to that, I guess you could say.
That's cool.
And take it around and raise awareness for the cause that they're doing.
That's awesome. We've got an airplane flying over.
Yeah, you get used to it.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You don't even hear it or listen to it.
That's awesome. So will this truck go back and will be like a stock build, or like you guys do a frame for it and stuff?
It's a full chassis, coilovers, racket pinion steering.
Cool.
4-link in the back.
So he's building it to drive.
Yes.
That's cool.
We weighed some options on it, and ended up going with the full chassis.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, really, like with as much advancement as everybody's had, and like these trucks are becoming more popular, so it's less expensive to buy a chassis these days than what it was 10 years ago.
Absolutely.
So,
and that's what we talked about. You know, he had a chassis for it. In fact, I've got one of his old chassis here for it. You know, you can buy cross members and submit suspension kits for them, front and rear, for the factory frames, the original frames, and do all that work. And I mean,
but why?
Yeah, I mean, I know everybody's got a budget and everything.
But the other side of that too is like, you know, he's a busy guy, and if you're paying someone, it's probably in reality less money to buy the finished chassis and have you put it on and do the mounts and things like that than it is for you to try and clean the old chassis, fix all the stuff, get all the new stuff in, box it, all that kind of stuff. So what else you got? So we know that truck's cool. We'll follow it along as we go.
Yeah, we just had a 81 Chevy C10, another square body, little step side truck. Yeah. It's another complete overall, kind of going back to an original type.
Cool.
It's had Holly Sniper put on it. It's a 350 CVR serpentine system on it. It'll get new interior and that kind of stuff. We're handling just the body and paint on this.
That's
one.
Cool.
A little bit of rust repair. We've got a 1977 American LaFrance fire truck for the city of Fort Smith.
So for the folks that are watching this on the YouTube video, it's coming up right now. That thing is cool.
It's a big project.
Oh, sure. I can't even imagine.
It's a big undertaking. That's another cool project. So Fort Smith, Firehouse 4 bought that truck new in '77.
Oh, that's cool.
I don't correct me if I'm wrong if it was exactly Firehouse 4, but anyway, so Fort Smith bought it new in '77. So the firemen's have basically donated the money for this project over the course of several years. They struggled finding a shop, either one willing to take it on or two big enough to take it on.
I mean,
and so, you know, we went and talked. I went and looked at it, and we talked back and forth several times with the chief. And first things first, it'll go in our paint booth, and so game on.
You're like, I mean, it'll fit, and they're like, what? You're like, yeah, it'll fit in there. They're like, oh my God, okay, he's in the top tier.
right.
That's cool.
Yeah. So we've got that one. I have a '69 Camaro sitting out there, still waiting on some suspension stuff. It's more of a race car. It's kind of a slower project. We're gonna start off with some rust repair on the back end, quarter panels.
Well, I thought rust is weight savings.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the less there is, the less there weighs.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Now just kind of your typical, panel replacement.
Yeah.
And,
easy stuff.
Yeah, body work and some paint work.
Cool.
We've got a 71 C10 short wide.
That's cool.
It's a full build. A lot of rust repair on that one too. That one's about like this 57 GMC. We're gonna have our work cut out with it for us on the metal work on it. But it's another full build. Vintage air, your typical kind of LS swap type thing.
For somebody to just drive, get in and go.
Yeah, it's also kind of a special project in the sense it belongs to a coworker of mine that I used to have. He'd asked me a few years ago about putting rocker panels and cab corners on it, but he was kind of wanting me to do it at his shop, and that's not usually something I ever did. Just work on it. I did it a couple of times, and it's too inconvenient. It's trying to drag your stuff back and forth.
And then also, hey, do you think you could work out there Friday night? Oh man, yeah, I can. And hey, dude, man, sorry, man, I can't do it tonight.
Yeah, it's
I move stuff around for you, bud.
Right.
I've been there, and people have been there with me coming to work on their stuff in my shop. So.
Yeah, it's hard, but it was his dad's
That's
truck,
cool.
his dad's project, and so. Didn't happen. A couple of years went by, and their project kind of fell to the wayside. And
so here it is. And
I mean, long story short, they ended up losing his dad to cancer.
Damn.
And so
damn you, cancer.
Yeah, cancer sucks.
Yep.
And so they got some things lined out, and they decided to go ahead and finish the project.
Awesome.
And so they brought it to us, and it's here in the process, and so we're going to finish the truck for him, so that him and his brother and his mom and the family
can enjoy it.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's the goal. So we lost my dad last Wednesday, and so he has a 73 Nova, and same thing. It's a running, driving, paint's good car. I mean, like, we can get in it and go anywhere in it.
Right.
And that's kind of the goal. It was always meant to be, and that's kind of where it got to. And he got sick, same thing, cancer, throat cancer. So key is you can't smoke 3 packs a day for 30 years and not expect something to happen. So, that's the way it works. All right. So you have a big plate of stuff.
A big plate.
And I can only imagine. So, does your wife? Does she run the messages side of stuff for the business? Because I can't imagine you working out here and answering the phone and running the messages and books. And
she plays a big part. She stays at home. And so our business and our living is this.
That's awesome. So then everybody's everything.
We're all in.
That's cool.
And so she helps with the books. She does the books and all that kind of stuff. She's begging me to let go of some stuff. And not that I don't think that she can, because I know she can. It's just that it hadn't been easy, I guess. It's like I want to have my hand on all of it, so I know kind of where it's at. And
I hired a 16-year-old a week ago to gather the receipts that I had, because I had been throwing them in a drawer all year. And so she took and sorted the receipts. It's the first time I've ever hired anybody to do anything or had anybody really help except for my wife. And every year she just would berate me the whole time we were sitting there sorting those receipts, because man, it's so hard. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't have time. So I completely get that.
Yeah, so the one boy's he's 2. So we've got a schedule, at least for our situation, that it works for us. My mother-in-law is retired, and so the boy goes and stays with her for every Tuesday and Thursday.
Oh wow! So that gives that a little break.
Yeah, the other one, the oldest one, is in a pre-K program, and so it frees her up, and so she can take care of the receipts. And I try to label and try to do my part.
Help as much as you
help
can.
as much as I can.
That's awesome.
But when it comes to the office stuff,
Yeah.
What are you doing in here?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, get out of here. Don't mess with that. Don't touch that.
Right,
That's funny. All right. So what has been your, I guess, probably favorite project that has come through the shop? Not your own, but somebody else's.
Somebody else's would have to be, without a doubt, my uncle's 65 Nova.
Oh,
It's a Chevy 2.
The brown one.
Yep.
Yeah,
Gold.
gold. Yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
it's gold.
That is a nice car, dude.
The gold one. He owned that car since '83.
Wow, that's cool.
When he was in high school, he proposed to my aunt in that car.
Oh, wow.
And scratched her name, Jen, or an abbreviation of her name, in the steering wheel in the car, and then it went off the road in '85.
Dang.
He had a small dash fire behind the instrument cluster and parked it. And then after that, it got gutted, stripped down to a race car pretty much, and then put on the drag strip. And he, test and tune and that kind of thing.
Yep.
Just kind of played, but it wasn't on the street. We talked about my '87 earlier, and when I got that truck painted and done, we decided we would fly in and paint his car.
Oh, cool.
And
so where does he live then?
He lives in Pea Ridge.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Like you just swoop in and.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Flew.
I was like,
no,
man, you flew in to paint.
Not,
Man,
figuratively speaking.
I like your style.
Right.
That's cool.
And so, it turned into a way bigger project than what either one of us, originally imagined or thought. In a nutshell, 6 years goes by. We finally get the car painted.
Dang.
And then, in a nutshell, again, about another 6 years goes by, up to last spring, they were able to make the decision to help me help them get the car done.
That's cool.
And so they brought it in and was able to get the car done.
That's cool.
And so getting to watch him and her drive in it for the first time.
Because it was at Heroes and Hot Rods, right?
It was.
Yep.
And so last spring that car got done. In fact, just a few months ago, we finally buttoned up the interior with getting the headliner put in it.
Yeah.
And so it has a full interior again. Where me as a kid, I was born in '87. I've never known in that car as to having
right
interior, much less a passenger seat.
That's crazy.
And so, getting to see a full interior, carpet. I mean, of all things, just carpet in that car was, and to see it come out as nice as it did.
Yeah.
And not that it's perfect, but
it's a nice car.
It is a nice car. Yeah. We tried real hard to give him something that he was proud of.
That's
something
cool.
that we could be proud of because
it's
our name on it.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. And so that has to be my favorite one. I like them all. They've all got a good story, and
but that one's super neat.
Getting to see the customers enjoy them. Once we get done. Keith with the '79 dent side Ford. He hadn't drove that truck in since '05.
He'll get in and go
anywhere. The truck was
anywhere.
like brand new when it left. Everything had gotten rebuilt.
Well, and the cool thing is, like, he can literally get in that truck like it's 1980 and drive anywhere he wants to in it.
Right.
That's cool.
Right.
That's really cool.
Another customer of mine had a project that was dead pretty much. It had been going on for about 6 years. Brought it to me as a basket case.
Oh.
And getting to watch him, and his wife, take off in it and enjoy it after all of these years and all the time he spent, getting to see them enjoy it. Yeah. That's why I do what I do.
Yeah, and the a lot of times it's the ability you have compared to them. Like they don't necessarily have the 20 hours a week to spend in the shop somewhere. They'd rather, it's worth them to write a little bit of a check to have you help get it done. That's what we helped Matt with, and he put the big block in the C10, but he just had not had the opportunity to get back out there and like build an exhaust and brake lines and fuel lines and all, like everything that went into that. So
All that
So
little
we
stuff
helped with
adds up.
and so we basically took what was 3 weeks time and what had taken him like 2 years to even get to that point. We did in like 3 weeks, and we really buckled down on it hard. So what? And we probably kind of answered this a little bit earlier with your first stroke, but what really makes, like, what drew you to like paint and body? I mean, like,
I don't know, man. Like, so I grew up always kind of tinkering and working on. I learned a lot from my dad. Growing up, with starting off with the basics, like every kid, righty tighty, lefty loosey. And your knowledge just grows from there. Nobody in the family has ever, or that I was around, had anything to do with body and paint.
Yep.
My uncle had a car that.
So it's funny, that's probably why you gravitated that way, because everybody else could do the other stuff. So you're like, I'm on.
Right.
And not that you just do paint and body. I mean, you guys do everything in here. Can do. You may not choose to, but
we try to do as much as we can in house.
That's awesome.
Besides stitching interior.
Yeah.
We try to do everything
That's
as
awesome.
much as we can in house.
That's awesome.
And if there is something that we can't do, then I know somebody.
Yep.
And I know somebody that I trust and that is going to do a good job.
That's
a quality
cool.
job.
That's really cool.
Yep. So I don't know. It just in high school, it was something that I thought I wanted to be a part of and learn. I was scheduled to go to a school, and in the meantime, so from the time from graduation in school to when I was going to start this Votech school, I was going to work in this body shop, sweeping floors, and just try to get an idea,
Right.
So I didn't go into it blind because I had no idea.
Yep.
One thing kind of led to another, and I ended up not going to that Votech school. Stayed on that shop full time, and
that's cool.
Been in it ever since.
Then you're like, this is kind of neat,
right?
And then it snowballed.
And I don't want to knock Votex or anything, but I feel like everything happens for a reason.
Yep.
And I'm glad what had happened back then happened the way it did, because
that's awesome.
It took me a few years longer, to get the knowledge base or some knowledge base, but I'm happy with the way it went.
So let's talk that for a second, because obviously you graduated high school. You probably, like, you were planning the summer job and then start Votech in the fall. So how do I want to word this? Because there's a lot of times where, like, we grow up telling the next generation that they need to, oh man, you got to go to college. Like, that's what, like, my generation was like. My mom and dad, you got to go to college. You got to go to college because you got to get a good job. Blah blah, all this stuff. Well, I obviously did not do that, and I started selling cars. But later on, I think if I had had the opportunity, I probably would have went to school, because at that point, man, I mean, it's like anything, especially as like a 20 or 21-year-old kid. If you're making good money or good enough money for yourself, at that point, you're like, man, do I really need to leave all this and go back to school? So like, I think as we move forward in the world as it goes, I think we'll have a lot more kids that will go the route you and I did, where we end up at a job, or you really started that job because you're kind of testing to see if you wanted to do that,
Right.
And so I think we'll have a lot more of that. People will begin to sweep floors at a body shop because they're like, I think this is interesting. So instead of like going and getting a full degree in whatever and spending 2 years of your life doing that, and then realize you get down to the last 6 months when you're really doing that, you're like, I hate this. I can't imagine how many college graduates are coming into that last semester stuff, and they're like, I don't want to do this job.
Right.
And you're like, shit, I've spent $100,000 to go to this school to get this degree for what I thought I wanted to do when I was 17.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's almost, to me, it's almost a no-brainer to try to put yourself into a position or around, what you, especially in this line of work. I can't vouch for, the Walmart vendors or those, that area of work. I guess all I've ever known is this.
Yeah.
And so
it's a good thing you like it.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this, because this is on, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I know you were on a good thought process here, but if you had to work on fixing a Ford Edge fender 4 days a week, do you think you would still be in this business? Like if it was just insurance repair and boring old stuff that you're painting?
That's why I wanted to get out.
Yeah.
It really was.
I think that would be the hardest part.
There was times that business was good to me for several years. You know, once I got a knowledge base, you know, and had a good idea as to what I was doing, and I wasn't making a mess of things, you know, or having to have somebody kind of hold my hand,
right?
Figuratively speaking, that business was good to me, and I enjoyed it. You know, I enjoyed, you know, doing the mechanical stuff that's involved with that, you know, as far as having to pull, you know, dashes and interiors and doing, you know, suspension, just all of it. But eventually, I knew that wasn't what I wanted to do.
Right.
I knew that
I want to do something fun and cool. Yeah.
You know, from that business.
Yeah. I mean, let's look at it this way. Eric Collins, Heroes and Hot Rods truck. Or, man, I did all the work on the Heroes and Hot Rods truck that's touring the nation. Mm-hmm. I painted 37 Ford Explorers white. You know, like when you go to retire, like that's an important story. So,
right.
All right.
Another flight.
Yeah. We'll give it just a second. What are some future projects that are coming into the shop? Like what are some big cool stuff that you've got kind of laid out on the? Or that's probably the hardest question ever, because I'm sure you have stuff on the books, but then you probably get emails and messages and texts 20 times a day about, man, I want you to do my whatever, insert car here.
Right. For what I've got on the books at the moment, I've got another 57 Chevy pickup, getting a chassis swap,
cool,
and an LS swap, you know, kind of your typical, you know, vintage air.
Your typical stuff anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
I know, it's wild. But that truck, what that truck means to that guy is cool. Yep. You know, he's owned it since he was in high school. That's awesome. You know,
that's awesome.
And so, you know, the stories behind them is what helps guide me. Of course, the work and seeing the end product, you know, is obviously why we do this, but the customer standpoint and that stuff, you know, that's what it plays a big part for sure.
And now one side of that too, I just thought of is, you know, you talk about the difference in somebody writing a check, like as far as to just a regular body shop. I mean, you know, let's say you've got a check in this end that's from an insurance company because somebody paid their insurance every month, they ran into a tree and now they're going to fix a car, you know, but somebody writing a check out of their pocket to fix an old car, I mean, that's got to have so much more meaning, especially if it's got a super cool story like the Ford or any of these really that you've got out here that, I mean, that's awesome. I mean, you end up with all these people with cool stuff.
Yeah, me personally, you know, I thoroughly enjoy each and every story behind them.
That's awesome.
I've just always kind of been that sentimental type guy.
That's cool.
And a lot of my projects that we've got on the books in here has a lot of sentimental value to the customers.
And part of it is you get it because of your truck. I mean, you understand that whole process of like what it's like to have something for 30 years. And I mean, really, so you said the truck's an 87?
It's an 87.
Yeah, so 30 years. I mean, 30 plus. So that's really awesome. And, you know, our truck's a 66. So, I mean, you know, my grandfather bought it in 67. I mean, like that truck, it'll sit and rot before I'll ever sell it. You know what I mean? Like if I can't fix it, I hope to be able to write you a check and you fix it, you know? So.
Well, that point kind of goes in twofold. You know, it's a hard business to get into and to do because it's somebody's hard-earned money. You know, coming out of their pocket. Yep. You know, it throws more meaning into it, but that really kind of helps narrow down the market. You know, to a scale. Yeah. You know, I know everybody's on a budget, and we try, you know, we always try to do what we can to work within a budget, but so we have them paying for it, you know, with their hard money, and so it's a hard business to get into versus, you know, collecting an insurance check for a repair. I think that's an easy business. In its own.
You're floating and negotiating with the insurance company. So let me ask you this then, because as time goes on, I don't like to talk businessy stuff on this because it really is more about you and your story and the shop. But I'm trying to get an idea of like how that works. Like, do you? Because our stuff is small in comparison to what you would be doing here. I mean, is it something that like, because a couple other people we've talked to, they do like basically a draw against it. Like, is that, I don't even know how you figure that up, but like you've still got bills every month. Like if I didn't have a regular job, there's no way I could have taken 4 months to finish this dude's truck because the Jeep, because I got to get paid. I got to pay a bill, you know.
You got bills to pay. It's a balancing act, and it's something that we're still working on and working with.
And I would imagine it's probably customer centric on that end,
right?
Because like, hey, I'm gonna need X amount of dollars a week, and they're like, ooh, dang, right? Can you work on it half a week?
Right. And so like I said a while ago, we do what we can to accommodate and work with our customers. So in the beginning, there's no book time for this, for 90% of this stuff.
It's just what you do. It's your hours of work.
Yeah, in all reality, it's time and material.
Yeah.
Punch in on a clock just like any other job.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's time and material. And so in the beginning, when we're looking at the projects, I do my best, excuse me, to give them as close of an idea to what the end result is going to be.
And then when you pull the door skin off and you're like, oh my God, there's nothing in here. You're like, hey, listen, it's going to be a few more hours.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
We reassess. So obviously, we have to have a starting deposit because there's always parts to order, there's materials to get, and there's labor involved just to get going. And then after that, it's a bi-weekly type deal.
That's cool.
We every 2 weeks, we contact our customers and we talk about it.
And really, probably that would help pay for it anyways, because you're not trying to figure out how to come up with X amount of dollars at the end or the beginning. I can't front their restoration, and I know that not everybody. I'm sure there's some that might not care, but there's not very many of them that's not going to care. Going to write you a whole check. Oh, that'll be $40,000. Here you go. Right. Thanks. What?
Yeah, we can.
Scared.
So there's very, very few people that have an open checkbook and don't ask questions.
A lot of times the guys that are at the level of cars that you're building typically, those guys have been burned by other shops, so they're good with like a 2-week thing. And then I feel like the benefit to like the Facebook and the Instagram posting and stuff like that is if they're on there, they can see that. They can see the upgrade. They can see the updates. They can go through, and that's why we do so much YouTube stuff. Is we basically do a video every time we're in the shop. So essentially, every video you see on our YouTube page is basically a night in the shop. Unless it's going to be 3-minute worth of video, then I put 2 or 3 nights together. But and I feel like that would help, and definitely as far as paying for it. So sorry, we got way off topic there. It just hit me. What is a car that you would love to build? Like if you're like, man, a dream build for you, what would that be?
Almost without hesitation would be a 70 Chevelle.
That's awesome. And it's even cooler that you own one. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And just that one, because when I was my oldest boy's age, I got a die-cast car, and it was a 70 Chevelle. It was blue. It was a 454.
That's crazy.
I don't know if it was an LS5 or an LS6.
Yeah.
They didn't specify that.
Yeah, it didn't matter.
Yeah, what the horsepower was.
You'd have known it if it had it on the box.
Yeah. But ever since that, that car, I still have that car.
That's cool.
There's just something about the body style.
Yep. It's the hips.
Yes.
It's the rear.
Yes.
I'm telling you, dude, that car.
Yes. When I first saw my car, the car that I own, all you could see of it was the passenger side headlights, part of the grill on the passenger side, and then part of the rally stripe.
Wow.
The rest of it was just so engulfed with the undergrowth in the woods that you couldn't see it. So
that's nuts. You're like, I'm
that
in.
quick, 70 Chevelle.
I'm in. That's it.
Yeah, and if that's a factory stripe, it's an SS car.
Because, I mean, how many hundreds of hours have you spent staring at that die-cast car that you had? You know what I mean?
Oh, man, I can't tell you the miles that car has.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
My boys have it now. My wife, bless her heart, you know, gave it to my oldest whenever he was 2, and so there's a few extra parts that's no longer there. So it looks like a parts car, but
that's awesome.
It's still. When I seen the condition, it's put away now.
Yep.
What's left of my parts.
So with you starting, you're like working on the truck at 14 and things like that. Were you a model car guy before that?
Man, not really. I mean, I did a little bit.
Yep.
Me and Dad built a couple. You know, when I was real little, I did a couple older, you know, or the early teens.
Yep.
At that point, you know, I could put them together. Like that wasn't no problem. One that sticks out of my head right now was a 71 C10 pickup. It was a long bed 2-wheel drive. I painted it 2-tone. It was a black center and like a yellow top and bottom and a black center.
That's awesome.
I liked the truck and I liked the body style, but
Yep.
I was so disappointed with the paint. I couldn't hardly stand it.
And it's a model car. You know what I mean?
I mean the brush strokes and like it made me so aggravated that I couldn't get the brush. Like I didn't know how to paint this thing and not get brush strokes.
Oh yeah.
Like, and it drove me nuts. And there was a couple I tried to put together after that, and I don't know. I was accused of having ADD, and so I couldn't sit still very long, and so that's why I never, stuck with the guitar or anything like that.
That's
I enjoyed it, putting them together, but I didn't put very many of them together.
So, I put a bunch together, and I'm trying to think of like it was probably from the time I was 10 to about 13, but after that, like, the old truck was there. Like, if I wanted to work on a car, I'd just go work on the old truck. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and I would imagine it's the same way with you and all that stuff.
That's kind of what happened with me and my dad with that 79.
Yep.
I was about 14-ish or so, and he ordered a crate engine for me, and I had a little bit of money I worked with him every summer. He was,
cool.
He was self-employed plumber. And so I worked with him.
So you're making big money.
Summer. Yeah, right. He'd accused me of making more than him one time.
And what's sad is you probably
thanks,
did.
Mom.
You probably did.
Mom was writing the checks, Thanks, Mom. And so I bought the interior and LMC stuff. I had one of Dad's friends do the seat cover. We did the seat cover.
That's
so we
cool.
kind of got started on that truck. I was about 14-ish, and then after that. I wanted to turn wrenches.
Real wrenches. I don't want to turn model car wrenches.
I would go out there and I'd look for something to take apart or try to build.
Yeah.
And, some majority of the times I got shut down, before it got going. But like I wanted to.
That's awesome.
I wanted to build stuff.
That's how your brain works.
It did.
So let's ask that. ADD in quotation marks, right?
Right.
I mean, if you're in the middle of stuff like that, like doing what you enjoy, do you feel like you have a little bit of attention deficit there?
As far as working on them?
No. Right? So, think about that as little kids. Like, that's the problem. Like, we just haven't found a way to teach that kid that how they need to learn the stuff they need to learn. So,
right. Find something that they're good at,
and
then help them with it.
Yep, and then
learn.
Try and figure out how to work that into other parts of their life.
Right. My oldest one, it's frustrating. It's extremely frustrating. And there's no manual to being a parent.
Nope.
And
hell, it's even worse if you ask other parents.
Right.
Don't even ask them for advice. Just work it out.
Yeah, because every kid's different.
Yep.
Every person's different, and so I don't ask for advice. My folks or something. I will my family. But as far as like asking anybody and everybody or asking Facebook what to do, I won't do it because
that's dangerous.
Everybody's different.
Yep. Even on car builds, you don't even ask Facebook what to do. That's the best way to spend somebody else's money. All right, so let's talk car shows. Any big car shows? Obviously, Heroes and Hot Rods.
Right.
I'm sure you guys will be a vendor there again. I mean, any other big shows on your radar?
We will be at I Got Your Six.
Oh, cool. Yep.
They're in
Pea Ridge. I don't know if they're doing it in Pea Ridge again, but
no, I think it's at McClarty Lincoln dealership.
Oh, sweet.
There's a Ford dealership.
That's awesome.
There in Bentonville, May 22nd on that.
Okay.
We'll have our tent and
Awesome.
try to have as many as we can
Yep.
there. We'll try to. We got to pick a project and have it there at the tent, but we'll try to get as many of them together as we can. But
That's cool.
It's going to fall into a very busy time for us.
Yeah.
We're trying to get a couple of these wrapped up.
Springtime and yep.
for the other car shows as well.
Yep.
So I say other car shows. Those two is what we've got.
Yep.
As far as on the books.
Cool.
We're gonna try to get out and hit more of them.
Now that you'll have less time, you'll need to be in the shop.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's been the thing.
So we had to stop and pop back. So we got one more question, really two more, and then we're going to get to the rapid fire. Okay.
Rapid
So
fire.
he's never seen the rapid fire questions, so this will be fun. It'll be easy stuff, though. I promise. All right. So we talked about what shows you were planning to go to, Heroes and Hot Rods, and got your 6. Mm-hmm. We'll try and get you up to the streetcar shootout again. You guys came up last year.
Yep.
To the charity drag race we put on. That's always a fun day.
Mm-hmm.
We look for this year to be even bigger. Our goal this year is to raise $10,000, and that'll be the most we've ever raised ever. So I'm really excited about that. So what are your future goals for Old School Sheet Metal Repair?
To grow.
Yep.
I mean, I don't. Basically have a one-stall shop. Here in front of the paint booth.
Right.
We do everything that we do within a small space. Because going into this and wanting to do this, this was the only way I could find
right.
to give this a shot.
Well, and to not have to spend $100,000 to buy a facility.
Not have a huge amount of capital,
Yep.
to back you. I had what I had saved on side jobs, or
Yep.
I had saved, through my day job.
That's awesome.
And kind of selling some stuff off and kind of peddling some stuff.
Yep.
I had what we had saved. And,
that's awesome.
And so that's why we're here.
Lean and mean, baby.
Right.
That's
Absolutely.
cool.
And so, I don't want to stop at this. I don't want to stay at, the one-stall shop behind my house.
Yep. Yeah.
I think we will always stay here, unless something big and drastic comes along.
Yep.
and shows itself that I don't know about.
Yep.
As far as what we have in mind and have planned is to modify this shop that we're currently in.
Cool.
Just a little bit.
Yep.
And then after that is to blow up another building and basically
man.
have a separate building. So basically like a metal and body shop. I want to do my own media blasting to keep that in house.
Yep.
I've done and have several jobs that it would be nice to be able to just keep that in house. That need blasted and stripped. So I would like to do my own media blasting and offer that as a service down the road.
And part of that too, just think about it, like you could media blast when it's convenient for you.
Right.
Like when it's like you roll that project from stall A to media blast, it comes back into stall A instead of like stall A onto a trailer.
Yes.
An hour drive or 20-minute drive, whatever, to someplace. It sits there for 2 or 3 days till it fits their schedule, and then it comes back.
Mm-hmm.
That makes a lot of sense.
If I have to haul one, I pretty much lose a day's time. Having to.
By the time you load it up
and haul it and unload it and then load it back and then haul it.
That's crazy. I didn't even think about that.
And so we've used a local mobile blaster, dustless blasting, and that's been good there. I would like to try. I would like to be able to keep it in house if we can.
That makes sense.
And so, we have plans, and we're just trying to work out some kinks and figure out, what we have to do right now to get there.
Yep. So that's awesome. You're not. This definitely isn't a. I just want to get by. You definitely have a future. There's no doubt about that in what I've seen and everything you guys have done. So it's a plus that, or obviously a benefit to you that you're thinking that down the road, and you can obviously see, where you can grow, what and adding in like the blasting, just having that insight or foresight to be able to know that you need that, and obviously, you do because you've been in this business a long time, but to be able to do that, and then I mean, obviously we want you guys to succeed. I mean, you're a great guy and you do great work, and that's a big plus. So there's a lot of jackasses that do great work. You know what I mean? People don't like to hang out with them. So all right, you ready? Rapid fire.
Oh man.
All right. What's the fastest you've ever driven?
160-ish.
Damn. In what? That's fast.
It was motorcycle.
Oh, yep. Okay. Yep.
As far as the car goes, man, not very fast probably, especially by today's standards.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, 110 maybe.
Dang.
Just a measly 110.
So I've been 130s a couple times driving, and then I had a 600 Ninja for a while, and I saw 150s on it a bunch. But man, I always try and tell people, like, it sounds so fast, but it's really not on a motorcycle because you can stop so much better.
Right. Right.
So
yeah, that's it.
That's awesome.
That's it.
I mean, and that's pretty fast. So Richard Norris took me we've been 160 in his Viper, and that was really fast. And that was riding, and that was all I wanted to do in that.
Right.
So, all right. If they're sitting side by side on the counter, and you've got a rusty bolt, are you WD-40 or a PB Blaster guy?
PB Blaster.
Man, thanks. So that's like 3 out of 5 that have been PB Blasters. So I'm keeping these. I'm check marking, and when we get to whichever one comes out on top by episode 50, then I'm going to start asking one of them for a sponsorship.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. Now, when you're working on engine stuff, or really, I guess for you, anything, are you a gloves or barehanded kind of guy?
Gloves.
Yeah, because you don't want to wear it in to the house.
Well, I mean, I say that. You can see, like, in my hands and my fingernails, like I don't. As far as like nylon gloves, I usually wear them the most.
Gotcha.
For sure. Like work gloves, I don't ever wear them.
I need
to be able to feel my fingertips.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
All right. I'm standing here in front of like a super nice TIG machine. Like, this is big, right?
Old grandpa there?
Yeah.
No, that's just old grandpa.
But are you a cheap tools or expensive tools? Like, cheap tools gonna go ahead and buy it 3 times in the span of what an expensive tool is gonna last?
I'll spend the money where I need to spend the money.
Yep.
If it's I've got like cheap grinders and stuff. They're kind of throwaway.
Yep.
I'm not a big Harbor Freight guy.
Yep.
Like, I've got a few things. In fact, I had to swap out like 3 hammer drills at Harbor Freight, and the lady's like, "Well, maybe you're using too big of a bit." It's like, if it goes in the chuck,
it's not too big.
We're sending it.
Right.
Like, I know how to drill concrete. Like,
that's crazy.
And so, I used to be primarily just expensive tool guy, and so I've got a lot of, not any one in particular, Snap-on, Mac. I tend to have more Matco. I didn't really deal with the Mac dealer very often, just because he didn't come to the shops that we came to.
I got you.
That was the only reason. The drill bits have lifetime warranty though, so yes,
that's a big plus.
That's a big plus, and they're step bits. So it kind of depends, I guess, on what the tool is.
Right, and then I've got last one, but you've already answered it 3 or 4 times. So it's like, what's your dream car?
Right.
70 Chevelle.
Right.
So
just is, man.
Yep, I can appreciate that for sure.
It can be resto modded, or it can be bone stock original, depending on what it is.
So let's give them what's probably the best ways to reach you guys? Facebook Messenger, call you. I mean, I'm sure you got a phone number.
But my phone number's on it. Is on my Facebook page.
Okay.
Honestly, send me a text message.
Yeah.
More than a phone call.
Okay.
If you call, chances are I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to let you go to voicemail.
Yep.
So if you go to voicemail, leave a voicemail, please.
Yep.
So, if you want to.
Now, here's the thing about text messages, though, and probably really contacting you with anything as busy as you are. Please, dear sweet little baby Jesus, tell me what you're talking about. Like, hey, what's it cost to paint a 57 Chevrolet?
Yes,
oh my God.
Yeah, I'm not going to give you a price to paint your car or truck or whatever it is without me coming and looking at it or you bringing it to me. I will go and have gone and looked at somebody's projects
Yep.
at their house or wherever. And I've got several on the books that I've done that way.
Yep.
I understand not everybody can load their car up and bring it to me and just
But
take
I
a
mean,
look at it.
if they're within reason of you driving and it's a reasonable project, I'm sure you'd go look at it with
Yeah,
no issue.
absolutely. And so, yeah, if you're going to send me a text message, it helps me keep track of it.
Yep. And put your name in it.
Yes.
Oh, that's a good
put
one.
Your name of it in it, absolutely. So that I don't have to ask, and give me some detail.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be. You don't have to sit there for 10 minutes, typing out a text to send to me. I will get back to you, but don't call and not leave a voicemail because spammers are rampant.
Oh.
And so I will probably.
And those bastards have figured out the 479 area code thing.
Yes.
I'll answer that generally. Hi,
Right.
do you need to borrow money for your business? I'm like,
Right.
no,
Right.
I don't.
It's just more aggravating than anything for
Yeah.
me to put down what I'm doing to go answer the phone
Yeah.
and then have it that.
Yeah.
Or have it somebody trying to convince me that I've committed some kind of crime in another state.
Oh yeah,
So
we're gonna call the magistrate on you.
Yeah, to figure out at the end, they want me to, clear my name with a Walmart gift card.
Yeah.
No. So
Not
I'm
gonna do that.
I'm gonna watch your phone. I'm gonna watch your phone number until it goes to
Yep.
voicemail, and so leave me a voicemail.
Well, and the hard part
We'll
is
get
like
back with
as
you.
far as like time goes, phone rings. You feel it in your pocket. Oh, that may be the wife.
Mm-hmm.
Take it. I'm like, I don't know that person. I'll
Right.
put it back in my pocket. I'm gonna go back to what I'm doing. Oh, they left a voicemail. I gotta listen to the voicemail.
Right.
Hey, it's so and so. I got a '72 Camaro. I want to have a painting, bright red and 2 stripes and all this stuff. So I go through all that. Okay, cool. I think all right. Just give me a call when you get a chance. And I put the phone in my pocket. I'm like, oh, great. I'll call that dude when I get done sending this fender.
Right.
And then you call. So like it just adds so much time.
I usually try to do that kind of stuff first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
That
makes sense.
Dedicate 30 minutes or an hour, whatever, to. Not
You
that
are
it
stronger than
not
I
that it
am.
always takes an hour.
Yeah.
But try to dedicate that time to returning emails and
That's awesome.
that kind of
Yep.
stuff, answering questions or whatever.
And just always
And then
remember, this dude stays busy. So if he doesn't reply to your text in 10 minutes, don't send another one.
Right, because I mean, everybody's got a smartphone. I will see it.
Yep. Yep.
People see your text message, and so you don't have to repeatedly send
Right.
messages like, "Did you see this?" or "Are you getting this?"
Yep. If it goes 2 or 3 days and you hadn't heard from,
Right, you might check
may go,
in because
hey,
there's probably a problem on my
I
end.
just thought of this. You may need to know. It's always a great way to lead into the
Yes.
to the reminder text. So,
Exactly.
all right, dude. Well, hey, I appreciate you spending some time with us. I hate that I forgot my SD card because now it's dark. And we won't be able to get any cool videos, but I'll run out one day this week and
come
and
back.
run to it. So
You're
all right,
always
man.
welcome.
Cool. All right.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that one. Jarrod is a super cool guy and has a ton of cool stories. We have a lot of stuff coming up with those guys in the future. I'm actually going to start following along on our YouTube channel with a couple of his builds, maybe even doing like a weekly update on shop work for him. So a lot of stuff in the works there. Also, our next episode will be dedicated to our dad. So we actually have some folks coming in that knew him growing up and in high school, and they have some great stories that we're going to get and share with you guys. So thanks again. Have a great day. See you.